Archangel Michael, The Descension of the Higher Self. By Linda Dillon. July 28, 2016. Website: counciloflove.com. Produced by Higher Self.
Steve Becko, welcome Linda. We've been discussing memory loss. I'm battling that right now. Linda Dillon, hi there. You know what? I think we're all battling this sense of interdimensional slippage. Isn't that better than memory loss? And I include not only all our listeners, and Susie, but you and I, Steve. But I think that we are experiencing such a different sense of being or beingness that it's hard. It's almost like reaching into somebody else's shopping cart or looking at somebody else's shopping list to remember what it is that you wanted to say or wanted to buy. But, it's nothing to be worried about. It's just part of our shift. Steve, it is humbling. I find myself using words that I would have associated with people with some kind of memory difficulty. Thingy, for instance. Thingy is becoming my favorite word. Linda, that thingamajig. Steve, yeah, that thingamajig. Linda, that thingamajig called Ascension? Steve, I now have a tremendous amount of sympathy for people going through memory problems. So maybe that's what it's all about. Linda, maybe part of this is that as we reverse our aging process, we are actually at the baby stage where we haven't learned human language yet, and we're so attached to where we came from, that we really don't want to learn human language. Steve, really? Oh, gosh. So, I just have to appeal to listeners for sympathy, compassion, mercy. Linda, we're giving them the opportunity to practice their divine qualities. Steve, that's right. Why don't I give you some time, Linda, to make the transition and let that fellow, what's his name? Archangel Michael will be joining us and we'll be talking about ascension. I do remember that. Linda, all those jokes, I'm sure, have to be Saint Germain's. Steve, we're going to laugh our way to ascension, Linda. While you're making your transition, I have to reinforce that my experiential floor has risen. So, now I feel very happy. And, I think Susie mentioned this as well. So, I definitely am experiencing this gradual rise. And with that, let me introduce the Archangel who needs no introduction. Archangel Michael, welcome. Archangel Michael, and welcome to you. Yes, I am Michael. I am Michael, Archangel of Love, Warrior of Truth, Bringer of Peace. And I welcome all of you upon sweet Gaia and far beyond. I welcome our star brothers and sisters, all masters, all beings of light throughout the omniverse. And with each and every one of you, as I embrace you and welcome you, I invite you as we all turn and bow and commit to the Mother. For this is the sense, the essence, and the source of our beingness, of what you have termed journey, the infinite journey of one. And, while we come this day to speak of ascension, of shift, of becoming, understand the message that has been shared with you in many forms by the Mother herself, by Yeshua, by Saint Germain, that holy trickster, by myself and many, is about love. We have asked and pleaded, encouraged each of you to love, to allow yourself to be love, to be the expression and to have the experience of love. But, most importantly, to be the love. For, my beloved friends and family, and by the way those words and terms are interchangeable, my family and friends, love is the essence of all. It is the structure, the particles, the composition. It is the energy of all existence, of all creation. But importantly, I am here to remind you, as we begin this conversation and discussion, because it is meant to be a conversation and discussion, that your essence, the formulation of your sacred self, is love. You can see it. You can feel it. You can experience it. And, it is invisible at the same time. But, embrace it, my friends, because this is the truth of who you are. The love is the pattern, is the essence of the mother, even the father, the one, for they are conjoined. And, if you turn away, if you deny that this is your fundamental self, then what you are denying is not only her, but your sacred self, your soul, your being. Terminology, and how you have thought and delineated terminology, has in some ways become stratified. Now, we do not throw these terms away, because they are important, for they have become many of your reference points in understanding and utilizing and comprehending your own journey, let alone others. But, we do expand on some of this terminology. Primarily, what I do this day, and every day, until the job is done, as you would put it, is I give you my love. I bring you, as messenger, with bows to my sister Gabrielle, I bring you the energy of love and I remind you of the importance and the essential nature of love. The fulfillment of the mother's dream, also known as her plan, the divine unfoldment is the anchoring, the restoration of original form, of original plan. Yes, with many variations that we have built in to accommodate each of you. But it is the restoration of love in form upon this planet called Earth or Gaia. Now, some of you, and do not think I don't hear you because I do, have said, Michael, Michael, and some of you have said this in a bored voice and some of you have said it in a cry of desperation, Michael, is Ascension still on? Is Ascension even still an option for this lifetime, for my lifetime, for humanity, for the unfoldment and this time and this reality and this place? The answer is yes. We will go into detail, but let us start here. Ascension, in this phase of the mother's plan, in this phase of unfoldment, yes including transition, has never been more present. Now, as I have said, many variables, what you would think of as flexibility, is built into this plan because of the nature of free will, which will not be interfered with. But, let us also be clear about that. Simply because the mother deems that we do not interfere with free will does not mean if you were recalcitrants, disinterested, or those who just choose to ignore the process, that it simply disappears, that we bow to those who do not want to participate. That is not the truth of love. So, there are many options and adjustments that are presented. And we will get to that, but in the meanwhile, my beloved brother, Steve, where do you wish to begin? Steve, well, there are two items of business that I'd like to accomplish in our discussion. One is to correct, if need be, my own impressions from some time ago that Ascension followed the levels of enlightenment which are well known to Gaia's sages, terrestrial sages, and I'm not any longer sure if Ascension follows those chakra-related enlightenments. That's one. And the second is I'm no longer sure how the light body comes on. I'm no longer sure what the relationship is to the coming online of the light body to Ascension. I'm not sure if the light body suddenly is going to blaze forth or, again, if that's another gradual process. So those are two sets of questions that I have today for you. Archangel Michael, shall we begin with the process and stages of enlightenment? Steve, please. Lord, could I just intervene for 1 second? I will be explaining any terms we use here in the transcript or in the footnotes to the transcript, so the reader doesn't have to worry if they don't catch the word that is being used. Archangel Michael, that is all right, and I will be very plain speaking. In your understandings, whether it is Eastern or Western, North or South, you have had delineations in terms of levels and, even in terms of the realm of human existence, 12 dimensions, 12 planes within each dimension. You have been given the construct and the understanding that one progresses step by step by step. And, the underlying or underpinning comprehension to that is that you cannot go to, say, step 24 unless you have completed 10 to 24, that this is a progression and your terminology so often used is a journey. And, I think you would all agree, and even those who never listen to this program, if posed the question would agree, because do not forget, I speak to all of Gaia, that there is a sense of forward thrust. There is a sense of progression, and that sense of progression comes from the feeling, but, more importantly, the wisdom and the knowing that all of you, and we will stick to this process of what is occurring on Earth and Gaia, all of you are in a process of forward thrust back to the Mother, Father, One, Source. So, there is this inherent sense that you want to move forward. And, in that, gain closer, higher, fuller, more intimate connection to yourself and to the all. And, that is what the journey and the process of what you think of as enlightenment is about. There are similarities between ascension, and you may feel free to interrupt me, my brother, between ascension and enlightenment. But, understand, so often with enlightenment, the process, unless you are completely in Sahaj Samadhi, is that you are in, out, and at times separated from your abilities to fully integrate into your body. Now, in ascension, in this process of what you and we have called ascension, there is the process rather than leaving or elevating your consciousness to a level where you are connected, it is that you are coming and going at the same time. Let me explain. You are bringing into your form, and there will be some bleed through in discussion of light bodies, but you are bringing into your form the conscious practicality, awareness of union with one. That is why we gave you the 13th octave. It was to prepare you to be the inhabitants of your being in a level of complete union. So, let us explain, to be home with one, with Mother, Father, all, but also to be in your body. Now is this an evolution, or perhaps what you would think of as evolutionary jump, a quantum leap, and that is why we have used that term so often over the years? It is a quantum leap in terms of how you define what it means to be human. And, in that, the sensation, or the experience may often feel not necessarily true, but it may often feel as if you have skipped many of those previous layers or steps that we have talked about a minute ago. But, let us explain. The ascension in many ways can be called descension. So, it is anchoring. Now, you have had this concept of separation, not only between steps and layers and processes, but in and of yourself. And, the ultimate separation, of course, is what you have called and experienced and termed death, when you have left your body. So you get to go home and to be free of this burden called the physical vessel. But this physical vessel has been so ignored, depleted, underestimated. Let us just take a moment and talk about these beautiful bodies that you, in concert with your guides and guardians, the Mother, and many of us, yes, it is a group process that you have formulated to bring to this planet and to this time of unfoldment to house this expanded energy. Far too often, and you have gotten so much better at this, but there was a tendency of always wanting to minimize, diminish, leave, float above, disconnect with your physical form, as if it were lesser than or somehow did not serve you. It did not have your perceived purity or the grace that you wish to hold that quotient of light. But that sense of separation from your form, which has been this magnificent gift that you have been fully engaged in and involved in the formulation, has been erroneous, has been wrong. Let us explain why. You chose this beautiful form as the vessel that could literally hold the energy and all the changes that were going to happen to it because you are the prototype of the new race, which is the original race improved. To carry you through this ascension process, This body was intended to house the energy so that you would be the Nova being that walks this planet in fulfillment of the Mother's wish. In the consciousness of your soul and your connection to all of the awareness of not only who you are, but all that is. Now, this is hard because I am explaining in human words, albeit cedar. But I am explaining in your terminology systems that you are not fully conversant or familiar with. So the paradigm has changed. What you have been doing, because some of you have been sitting there saying, wait a minute. I've been waiting since 2012. Well, let's redefine that. I've been waiting since the day I was born to be the fulfillment and be the truth of who I know I truly am. Because for each of you being born, or 90 years old, or 120, for that matter, for everybody upon the planet at this time and moment, it was an insertion. You can think of that as one of the variable adjustments that was made to you, was the awareness that you were here for this ascension, shift, elevation, leap, process. So, this yearning and knowing has always been part of what you think of as your physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, causal DNA. Otherwise, it would not exist. You have always, as human, and you have incarnated many, many times, either on or off planet, it does not matter, but you have always had the sense of returning home to one. But upon the planet at this time, whether you are born today or tomorrow or 100 years ago, you also had the key, the flag of DNA that said, I am here to assist, participate, and be part of this ascension process. That is why you went for it, and it is why you have felt that it is something vaguely familiar. And that, my beloved friends, is also why humanity as a whole, unawake and unaware, but the souls are always aware, made the collective decision to ascend as one. That was a soul collective decision, individual and collective. And, it was a spiritually mature decision that has made the Mother and all of us so joyous. But, we will not go into that. Let us bring you back. So, you have been going through a concerted, what we would call a concerted ascension process. Now, have you all been walking up those steps at the same rate, with the same level of enthusiasm or knowingness as everybody else? No. That is the diversity of all these beings upon the planet. But, make no mistake about it. Whether it is very slow or very rapid, all of you have been involved, engaged in this ascension process of progressing. And, think of it as several strings. Progressing from the place of I am isolated, I am separate from source, I am angry, fearful that I have been forgotten, to a greater sense of unity and belonging. In that has been for many of you, a sense of greater happiness and might I say joy, and a sense of belonging and heart consciousness, that you are operating, that your GPS is more clearly your heart than your head. Now, never has it been intended that we would turn off the brilliance of your brain, which is also being activated, and we will talk about that, or even your ego or your delightful personality. But, this has been brought, with your work and your cooperation, being brought into balance. At the same time, second string, is the engagement, the growing understanding, the wisdom of your multi-interdimensional self, that there is an understanding that these levels of existence, these realms of existence are more fluid than previously thought, and that they can be accessed more fluidly. And that it is not a cement block wall between each dimensional reality, which is what the old third, false beliefs, had taught you. So, that sense of I am stuck in this ridiculous realm called the old third, has been evaporating for you, and you have had the sense of magic or alchemy or creation or bliss or sitting with the masters, an expanded sense of the qualities and the physical experience of these various dimensional realities, and that it is fluid like the Mother's ocean rather than constructed like a steel grid. Now, you may travel upon that golden grid, it is open and free to all of you. But it is not stratified, it does not block you. the third, and now I bleed into your other topic, Steve, into the light body. Now, many of you have been envisioning your light body as something you were escaping to. Again, it has been a sense of escape, of leaving this skin and bones behind. But, that is not the plan. Think of it in this way. It is not stepping out of your physical body into your light body. It is incorporating your light body, and how you define that word body, into physicality. Now also, let me explain. Your physical body, and you have felt it, most of you have felt this recently, is that your previous balance of electromagnetic has shifted to greater electric. It is not that the magnetic is gone, because this is what keeps you, your feet, on the ground. It is not just gravity, it is your own magnetism, your own forms as well. And that is the construct of most of what is on this planet. But you are holding, if you think of electrical as a greater composition of light quotient, so what your body is doing is transferring, and as you are integrating all these energies, not just the frequency of these, but of all, you are becoming more within your light body. Now your light body is not only contained by your skin, what you think of as your physical form, but your entire field. But it is not to the elimination of your physical body. And, in the assumption of what you think of as your light body, it is not departure, it is integration and anchoring. And, that you are more fluid in and of yourself with the accessing of all your fields, you are also, at the same time, allowing activations of part of your brain that have never been fully implemented, as well as your central column of DNA. So much of your potential is being activated even as we speak. But, the biggest piece of this, all of these transitions that I am speaking of in terms of ascension, is that you are progressing. You are, as you have said, Steve, you are becoming a more joyful, loving, caring, considerate, happier with yourself, surrendering to yourself and to the all, person than you have been. Now, that is not in any way to diminish or misspeak of who you have been. Quite the contrary, because it has all been there all the time, it is simply being brought to the forefront. But, when you look at yourself, you are seeing that you have been progressing and that this is part of your ascension process. Now, for some of you, you say, but I still have days when I am miserable. And, what I say to you, my beloved friend, is on those days what is happening is the energy from the tsunami of one and your own light infusion is bringing to the forefront core issues, vasanas, unresolved situations. Simply that it may be looked at and very rapidly let go of. Because there is no room in your sphere, in your being for that negativity, for that which is barring you from that full connection to who you are. Now, let me pause there and you may proceed, Steve. Steve, thank you. You certainly set the scene and introduced the characters, and now I'd like to know something about the plot of the play. What are the stages of ascension that we're going to be going through in the near future, in the middle term future, longer term future, that we can call ascension? When is the ascension process finished? Is it finished upon Sahaj Samadhi, which is our natural state? Or, is it finished at an earlier stage? Can you tell us about what to expect in the future? Archangel Michael, yes. Now, also let me tease you and remind you, as I have said before and that the channel always laughs at. There is always more. So, with that in mind, take a moment and think of, for some of you, the dismay that you felt when you did not graduate in December 2012. And, now, my beloveds, think of where you are this day and how far you have come. Because, it is vitally important in this process, in the unfoldment of the plot and the story, that you realize that you have always been part of the story and that it is actually a live play, perhaps in London or Broadway or Beijing, and you have all been players on the stage. And so, it is not that you have not been participating. You have been participating beautifully. And, I say this because too often you do not receive or really hear us when we praise you for the work you really have done. You have persevered. You have practiced fortitude. But in all of that, your patience and impatience, you have allowed the expansion of your framework and the joy and the love and the trust and the peace to sneak in. So, to this we say, bravo. And encore. Because immediately, and that is why we are having these conversations with you, not only to reassure you Ascension is still on, it is on right now. And so there are many bravos and encores right now. I am not talking about next year. I am talking about this week, next month. What to expect? We are in sacred partnership. Some of you will say to me, but, Michael, I don't meditate. My beloved friends, whether you are portal or gatekeeper or wayshower or pathfinder, all of humanity, but especially you who are light workers and love holders, why have we even distinguished you as such? Why have we pleaded to you to let go of pettiness and unite in heart? Because the expansion that you are undergoing, that you are welcoming, that you are surrendering to is vital for the health and ascension of the collective. I know we have said this before, but heed what I say today. Prayer, meditation, and what you can think of as ritual. When you say to me, I don't do ritual, Michael, might I suggest to you when you put on your shoes, when you put on your clothes, why do you not make a ritual saying, these are my ascension shoes. These are my shoes that let me walk on air, clouds, water. When you put on your clothes, why do you not make a ritual saying, this is my ascension outfit. This is my joy clothes. A ritual, if done with clear heart intent, does not need to be incense and candles. It is you declaring to the Mother, Father, One, all of us, saying, I'm ready. And, when you make that declaration, when you formulate that declaration, not only are you participating in the Mother's, in your creation process, you are eliminating all those nagging doubts. What sages have said, the millions of things that you think are undone, all the unmet desires, all the addictions, all the distractions, you have just said, no, to them. So, in your sacred ritual of setting intention, you are saying yes, to the forward thrust of you. Ritual, prayer, and yes, meditation, you say to me, as many of you do, Michael, I do not meditate. Nova being, meditate. No ifs, ands, or buts. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean that you are sitting in a temple with your legs crossed, in proper position? For some of you, it does. But, let me also be clear on this, your temple is your body, your expanded body, all of your bodies. That is your sacred space. And it is inviolate. It cannot be intruded upon. When you sit, walk, lie, occupy your sacred space, beginning or ending, preferably both, with a prayer of your heart, not necessarily formulated by some religion that wishes to control you. But, when you sit in your sacred space, in the silence of your being, what you are declaring, your actions, your intention, is the willingness to receive. That is one of the wonderful functions that your sleep accomplishes. That is when many of the attunements and adjustments, the increase in your frequency, is taking place, because it can be a dizzying affair. Many of you have been waking up with night sweats or feeling like you have your finger in the light socket. That is when we are working with you. But, this sense of meditation, of your willingness, rather than saying, no, I don't do that, your willingness to sit in your sacred self and receive. And what do you receive, because you have asked what the plot is? You receive an influx of love. What happens, if you think of your own tri-flame, of that blossom within your heart is growing and expanding until it fills your entire sacred space. And then, it grows outward. This is your next step, fill your sacred space, which many of you do every day. And, then let it surrender to allow it to keep going. I have said to you many times that your field has expanded enormously until you are a part of, with, the universe. Now, you say, I can't comprehend that. You don't need to comprehend it. You are in sacred partnership. We are all children of the Mother, of the love. So, what you are doing is expanding into that love. Then you come back. You can use your prayer of thanksgiving as a grounding tool. Now, why are we suggesting this as part of your ascension? Because we are asking, requesting, inviting your participation because, yes, you are the ways howers. Do not worry that you say you come back and you feel spacey. That you cannot string two words together. Simply anchor, connect with Gaia. Drink water or eat fruit and allow that sense of being in your form, this body, to return and then proceed. With each expansion, and there will be many, what you will feel is a greater sense of connection and well-being. Now, your ascension, human ascension, at this time on this planet in this part of the Mother's plan, is not for you to join in this form of samadhi and to simply stay there and leave your body. You will always be coming back. This is part of the process. This is part of that becoming that you've been asking. Each of you are in various states, different steps on this pyramid in your process. It matters not. What you might do, is if you find yourself on these steps, is turn around and extend your hand backward and assist those coming behind you and help them up. And, do not hesitate to extend your other hand forward and allow those who are ahead of you to give you a little helping hand. This is not an exclusionary process. Now, how long does this take? You are already in it, but, on the one hand it feels like there is a great deal of chaos. That is simply clearing of the debris we have spoken of. Your job, your ascension, is to stay in the sacred space and allow these expansions. You have asked, Steve, does this become the fullness of what ascension is? The answer is no. Then you become. It is a process. There is a moment of what you think of as flipping the switch. We have spoken very briefly of this. Where humanity, those upon the planet, how will I put this, that you are being brought to a level playing field, that Nova being, that yes, to use your term Suzanne, the 100th monkey has been reached. Now, let me also say at that point, and this is why there have been these increases, is that you have been reaching that level of the 100th monkey again and again. And that has infiltrated and activated and attuned many upon the planet. So, it is not just us assisting you, it is you assisting you as well, you the collective. At this point, which occurs roughly in the fall, late fall, there is a time, and you are seeing it increasingly, but this is the level playing field I was talking about, when many choose to depart. Simply because of that free will factor. That they are simply returning home. It is neither here nor there. Upon your planet every day hundreds of thousands, millions die, some very quietly, some dramatically, each in fulfillment of their wishes, their mission and purpose. For some, yes sadly, it will not be the fulfillment originally envisioned, because all upon the planet have chosen to be here for this miracle. But, such is the journey of self. And they will be welcomed home with wide open arms. But, to use your term, Steve, it is the establishment of a new baseline of what it means to be human, what it means to be spirit and soul in form. And in that wisdom and knowing, there is a transition phase that we have spoken of adjustment. But does that mean that the journey stops? No. There is continued expansion, and that is why you have called it and we have called it a golden age. It is an age of expansion, of being in the golden radius of love, of wisdom. So, it does not stop. You might think that you would call this becoming a race of superhumans. What we would call it is becoming a race of humans. Does this even begin to answer your questions? Steve, it definitely does. It is certainly the beginning of the answer to many, many questions about ascension, which we try to jam into the confines of an hour. And, sometimes don't succeed, often don't, because of the topic is so large. We have reached the end of that hour, Lord. And, I'd like to give you the opportunity to say any closing words you'd like. And, then we will have to bring down the curtain. Archangel Michael, oh, but it is a curtain. But, there will be another act tomorrow. Do not worry. Steve, yes, and refreshments. Archangel Michael, yes, the show must go on. And it is, because this is why I am encouraging you. It is not just seeking ascension. It is being ascension. It is the trust, the faith, the knowing, the love that you are in your process. And, when those issues come to the forefront, pass them to me, pass them to my sister, pass them to the mother, it matters not. But pass them on, because they only come up so that you can wave goodbye. And stay, my beloveds, in your sacred space. Be the love. We will continue this conversation, my friends. Steve, thank you very much, Lord. Archangel Michael, farewell.